Around my 30th birthday, I had the privilege of meeting my political hero, Ronald Reagan. We met in his Century City offices just a couple of years after he left the White House. I was one of the developers of the Adam Smith Foundation, along with a high school buddy, John Hellender, and I was able to present our second Adam Smith Award for Individual Excellence in Free Enterprise to the former president. Just to make things more exciting, as if that were possible, I invited the actor Charlton Heston to join me in the presentation and took as many friends and family from Oklahoma as we could round up. I went with my dad and mom, my brother, and a bunch of Okies and Texans, and we descended on Hollywood sort of like the Beverly Hillbillies. I still remember the excitement we felt. Not only have I enjoyed the chance to meet President Reagan, but also I have known and worked with many who were in his administration, including the great Attorney General Ed Meese, Secretary Don Hodel, Frank Gaffney, Diana Denman, Roger Robinson, and others. President Reagan righted the American ship when we were headed to disaster. We were in a Cold War with the Soviet Union. We had runaway inflation, an energy crisis, and general malaise. Our nation was deeply divided, and our outlook was bleak. President Reagan was the original Let's Make America Great Again president, and that is, in fact, is what he did. The left hated him, but he was so popular with regular Americans that they had to keep their mouths shut. When I first met Mark Joseph and learned of his Reagan the Movie film project, I was thrilled. He'd signed the great Dennis Quaid to play Reagan and offered to screen the movie early for our VIP guests at Liberty Hawk Ranch. I love the story. It's told from the perspective of a KGB agent assigned to study and counter Reagan. It's a terrific movie filled with nostalgia and also important lessons for today, and it will be released nationwide in theaters on August 30th. Let's watch the trailer.
Welcome to your life.
There's nothing a retired governor can do, but a president, now he can do a thing or two.
Everybody wants to rule the world.
I will be frank with you that as a citizen, I would not like to see any political party outlawed on the basis of its ideology, because I still believe, Mr. Chairman, that democracy can handle it.
I was a brand new KGB officer, given my first intelligence assignment. A certain actor and union leader.
Dutch, there's a purpose for your life.
You can run from a bully for so long, but after a while, you're gonna have to stand up to him.
It's my boy!
There's about to be another war right here in Hollywood. The commies on one side, the mob on the other. And you're right in the middle, son.
If you put as much work into your career as you do making your speeches, you'd have an Oscar by now.
Hello, I'm Nancy Davis.
Hello, Nancy Davis. I'm Ron Reagan.
I'm curious, Ron.
What would you say is the issue of our time?
No question about it. Communism and the Soviet Union.
Get in the game. Run for office.
It's you!
I'm running for governor, and I would like your vote.
I forgot your name.
Do his initials help, RR?
Honey, Roy Rogers is here! And he's running for governor!
Ronnie, remember when we met? You told me that you wanted to make a difference in this world. You know what you have to do.
Governor Reagan again, typically, is against such a proposal.
There you go again.
But he was not afraid to take us on.
There's nothing a retired governor can do about the Soviets, but a president,
now he can do a thing or two.
Welcome to your life.
I was a lifeguard on a river.
There's no turning back.
And I learned how to read the currents. Not just the ones on the surface, but also the ones deep underneath the water. I am about to start the biggest war of this century, and I'm not gonna fire a single shot.
You're gonna blow up 8 years of diplomacy.
Well, if you think that got their undies in a wad, you just wait.
What did the president know, and when did he know it?
what would you have me do?
I want you to fight!
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Wants to rule the world.
Did you see the great Jon Voight? He plays the role of a KGB agent as the star alongside Dennis Quaid. Join me in the Economic War Room, where we will remember Reagan and get an inside view of the movie from Academy Award-winning Jon Voight. Academy Award winner Jon Voight started his acting career in Broadway in the 1960s and became a household name after starring in films such as Midnight Cowboy, for which he won a Golden Globe Award, and Deliverance, for which he won an Academy Award. Over the decades, he starred in many incredibly successful films: Heat, Mission Impossible, Enemy of the State, Pearl Harbor, Holes, Transformers, and National Treasure. He's recently continued his success in television, starring in the hit crime drama Ray Donovan. As a child, Jon and his mother traveled to the Soviet Union, and he's been fascinated with the rise and fall of the country ever since. It's my honor to welcome Jon Voight to the Economic War Room. Jon,
Hi,
welcome.
Yeah, nice to be with you.
It's good to be with you. Hey, first, I promised my friend Frank Gaffney that I would say hello for him to you.
Tell him I send my love to he and Marisol. They're wonderful. I know he's crazy about his wife. He's just crazy about his wife, and he's a great man, Frank.
He is a good man. He's doing a lot for America. And you know, this movie that you've got out, Reagan, that's going to do a lot for America, too. What attracted you to the role?
Well, I'm interested in, obviously interested in the history of this great country, and one of the great presidents was this fella. Ronald Reagan was a wonderful guy to come in at a very specific time when we were at a low ebb, and he brought the country back to where it should be, and he did so many things. Of course, he was the one who brought down the Soviet Union, which was a big deal. He understood communism and its dangers, and so when they came to me with this piece, they offered me the part of a spy that followed Reagan throughout his career, sensing that he might be of danger to the Soviet Union. And they were accurate about that. But anyway, so I took a meeting with a wonderful director, Sean McNamara, who I'd worked with several times, and felt very comfortable about working with him again.
Well, that's fantastic. We're going to need to take a break. When we come back, though, I want to explore Viktor Petrovich, the KGB officer. Let's take a break, and we'll be right back.
Okay, good, Kevin.
In uncertain times, finding stability in the economy can feel challenging. But what if you could navigate economic volatility while honoring your biblical values? At Timothy Plan, they believe this balance is possible. Timothy Plan filters its volatility-weighted ETFs and family of mutual funds through a biblical pro-life and pro-family lens, so you can see competitive returns and moral responsibility, helping you to weather the economic storms. With Timothy Plan, align your investments with your values while adapting to our ever-changing culture. Since 1994, Timothy Plan has been recognized leader in biblically responsible investing. Timothy Plan, your bridge between faith, finances, and the future. Visit timothyplan.com or call 1-800-TIM-PLAN or 1-800-846-7526. Investing includes risk, including possible loss of principal. Before investing, carefully consider a fund's investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses contained in the prospectus available at timothyplan.com. Jon, it's incredible having you join us. You know, I got to meet President Reagan once. I was a kid. I was like almost 30. And we went to his Century City offices, and he was just out of office. And I invited the great Charlton Heston to join me, and we presented an Adam Smith Award to this amazing president. Did you have the chance to meet or work with President Reagan at all?
No, I did not. The closest I got was I did visit his ranch at one point. But no, I did not have the pleasure.
Well, what memories do you have of the Reagan era? What do you remember from it?
Well, I mean, I was attentive to what was going on, and I saw this battle. We were all concerned about the Soviet Union and this, the Cold War, and here was this man who came in, and he turned things around. We were in a very strange dance with the Soviet Union, and he had very clear ideas about how to deal with it. And I watched as forces came together. I remember following John Paul II a little bit in that time, and then of course Margaret Thatcher, and it was a very, very interesting, very dramatic time. And through it all, this man was very poised. He was I remember his statement on the various at the various key moments, and he would talk to the country. And his, for instance, the Challenger disaster, when that happened, it was quite a shock to all of us. And he came on the air, and his speech was so beautiful, so positive, so loving, and so appropriate to talk about the heroes of that disaster and what that space movement meant to people, and the character of the people involved, and heroism, and how it's needed always, and sometimes sacrifice is needed. It was a wonderful speech, and I remember at all those times when he would step up, and you knew you had a strong voice and a spiritual voice in a very gentle and clear way that gave us all an uplift at times of difficulty.
Well, that's from the eyes and the view of a patriotic American, Jon Voight. How about from the KGB agent, Viktor Petrovich? What would he be seeing at that time of Reagan?
The character I play is a character named Viktor Petrovich. Viktor. And Viktor, I work with a young actor from Russia, Russian actor, young fellow, very nice fellow. And we had a great time working on the piece together. But Viktor, he becomes the kind of voice of the story, and he followed him from the beginning, and was a KGB agent at the beginning, and then he, in watching this man and spending so much time with him, he started understanding and really getting behind Reagan's point of view about so many things. And he understood the suffering of his country, and he was going through it. And he recognized at one point that this man was going to save his country, that not only was going to bring down the Soviet Union, but he was going to save the people. And that's the I shouldn't have told you that, but I revealed it anyway. But so there's he's sympathetic to Reagan's career, and he tells the story to a young man who comes in and says, why didn't the Soviet Union make a stand against this? How could we have lost the country? And he says, well, there are other people you could go to tell that story. I say to him, and he says, but you were there. And I say, yes, I was there. And I tell him the story, and as I go through it, I explain many things to him, and he turns around by the end of the film too. So,
and that's the amazing thing. I remember living it and watching. I remember when President Reagan was shot. I remember what the Soviet Union was like. My college professors telling me Marxism is inevitable. It's dominant. It's going to win. Our economy can't hold up. But it seems, and I got this from the film when we first screened it, and I saw an early screening with Mark Joseph. It seems like as much as Reagan did economically in economic warfare to bring down the Soviet Union and tear down the wall, he demoralized them at the same time by showing that liberty really is better. And I kind of got that from the movie and the way you portrayed it.
Yeah, well, he did that. And I remember that time in where he was in, I can't remember the name of the town, but it was, he met Gorbachev for the first time. And I remember the first thing he did, he came, by the way, he came in a suit, and Gorbachev, very attractive guy at that time for the Soviet Union, young man, and he had a coat on and a hat, and Reagan was out there without a coat, without a hat, and looked very breezy and, attractive. But he grabbed him by the arm, and he started talking. He said, I want to talk to you about the Soviet Union. and tell you what's going on with your country and what's the problems with it and where I stand. Exact bing, right off the at the beginning of their relationship, and he was able to do that. He really was a student of all of this, and that was a very gutsy move and a very appropriate one. So he was quite eloquent about that and very strong, and he's made his mark with this man, with Gorbachev.
You know, I have a friend, Jon Voight, who started the Institute for World Politics, but he was there at Reykjavik. He was a Russian expert, and he was there and able to work with and watch President Reagan. It's just amazing. So what can people learn from the movie?
I'd like to hear that. While we're talking, Kevin, I'd like you to express some of that to me. I'm interested.
Well, I'll introduce you to Jon Voight just so you can get the history, because he was he's a really tall guy, but his expertise was Russian language, he's a wonderful man. So I'll make that introduction for you so you can hear it straight from him. But what can young people learn from this movie?
Well, I think they can learn what the presidency is all about, and see the challenges that almost daily invade the Oval Office, and how a man of great talent who is destined for the job handles all of these difficulties. It's life is full of challenge, and young people sometimes think they're going to get to a place where there are no challenges. There are challenges continuously, and especially in the office of the United States presidency. And you see this man, how he sailed those waters pretty beautifully. So.
Yeah, President Reagan did a great job addressing the challenges, and things have been bad before, and we're facing some bad things. We'll take a break. We'll come back, and we'll finish up with Jon Voight.
Throughout history, the spirit of patriotism has prevailed. The battles may have changed, but the values remain the same. Today, in 2024, we find ourselves at a pivotal moment where the call for unity, freedom, and a better future echoes louder than ever. For more than 10 years, Patriot Mobile has been committed to supporting the values that make our nation great. With affordable plans and reliable nationwide coverage, Patriot Mobile is not just a wireless service. It's a call to action for those who believe in the American dream. Because this year is not just any year, it's the most important year since our nation's founding. Choose a wireless carrier that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
We're speaking with the great Jon Voight. He's a Hollywood actor. He's an amazing individual. I've got one question for you. It came in from Seinfeld's George Costanza. Did you ever own a Chrysler LeBaron convertible?
My mother did, as a matter of fact.
Did she really? That's funny.
She did. But no, I didn't. It wasn't my car.
Well, that was J-O-H-N, I think.
The fellow who wrote that episode asked me when I'd done my little piece on the set and just bit Kramer's arm. He said, "John, would you just come around the corner and take a look at this something for me?" And I said, "Sure." And he said, "Did you ever own this car?" We came to the car. I said, "No, I never did." And he said, "Darn it." And he said, and so the whole story was built around actually his experience.
Yeah, well, the production team at Economic War Room, they know that I think there's a Seinfeld reference in every aspect. The show about nothing really has a connection to everything we do in life. So thanks for sharing that.
You bet, yeah.
Okay, so what are some of the favorite roles that you've had in your career?
Oh, well, I think I've done quite a lot of stuff. So, and I haven't done too badly. All of the things that people like, I enjoy. From Midnight Cowboy on, with Coming Home and Deliverance, that was mentioned, and Runaway Train, The Champ, and then in the latter years, my role in Heat with my friend Al Pacino and with Bobby De Niro, and then then going to Holes is a great movie.
I love it.
Did a movie called Anaconda, which was very successful, and people thought Liev Schreiber on the Ray Donovan series. When we did some press, and I said, I knew he was a bit of a snob about my work. He thought that Anaconda was something that I should never have done. It was such a low life piece, it was something like that. And I said to him, well, they asked me the same question about my career, and I said, well, I did, Runaway Train, Deliverance, and all this, The Champ,
For my kids, it'll always be National Treasure. That's their favorite.
So glad about that.
Yeah, my favorite actually is Enemy of the State because of some of the things that we're facing now. But I met Mike Smith, who was a stunt double for you in Anaconda. I just interviewed him a week or so ago, and and told him we had this interview set up, and he said, well, tell him hello. I was a stunt double. He said, I got eaten by the snake instead of him.
Well, he was a very good stunt double for me because he got away with certain things. He was about my size, and his face was round like mine, and certain kinds of things. He looked quite like me, so he was a useful stunt double. And he did get eaten by the snake. I was regurgitated, but he was eaten. We made a deal.
So my new favorite now is Reagan. You got to work with Dennis Quaid, another one of my favorite actors. What was that like, and what are your hopes for this movie?
Well, first of all, I think the movie, I like this movie. I think it turned out quite well. And mostly, there are many aspects. It's going to introduce a lot of things. People are going to go through his whole presidency and his life from childhood. And they're going to get to know him very well. And I think that it's going to give people a lot of references to what's going on today, really, because he came at it at a very difficult time in our country, and we're facing similar times right now. So it's going to have relevance to today, and it's a great love story. Their relationship, Nancy and Ronnie, were very close and dependent on each other, and the performances of both Dennis and Penelope Ann Miller are quite wonderful. So they're going to have quite a ride. Anyway, I think it's a movie that's going to touch a lot of hearts too.
It's very personal, and one of the things I love about it is it reintroduced me to this larger-than-life president that I loved, looked up to, and respected as a very young man. And by the way, as I was preparing for our interview, I got a desperate need for jelly beans. So I've got some Jelly Belly jelly beans here if you'd like.
That's so great. Yeah. Isn't that nice that we're this far apart and I can't have any?
No, you can't have any.
You just throw that in my face and they just tempt me, and it's an awful thing, little things like that.
And the little things matter. And for me, this week has been amazing. I have had in the Economic War Room either interviewing or been interviewed by Dr. Ben Carson, Lieutenant General Mike Flynn, Lara Logan, Charlie Kirk, Daniel Horowitz, and Dinesh D'Souza, plus Mike Smith. What a way to cap it off. I've got the great Jon Voight.
Well, listen, I'm really humble with that group. That's a great group. God bless you.
No, it's been terrific. And I'll tell you, this movie can take young people, and really all Americans. I think people my age are going to be nostalgic and enjoy the nostalgia. Young people can see, how America's been in dire straits before. It took a lot of prayer and a lot of hard work from real people to make a real difference. And I think your portrayal of the bad guy, so to speak, who then sits back and watches what unfolds. It just really impressed me as a role.
Well, I think the movie is going to be successful, and I think it's going to reach a lot of people in many different ways. It's unusual. It was postponed a little bit, and it just turns out to be a good time for it to come out because it's going to be very, very relevant. It starts out, for instance, with the assassination attempt So it's going to hit people in a way, connecting them to what's going on today.
Yeah, history doesn't repeat, but it does rhyme, and it's rhyming now. Well, thank you for joining us in the Economic War Room. If you ever get to the Dallas-Fort Worth area, we would love to have you come and visit us here at Liberty Hawk Ranch. I'd love to talk with you, society, history, politics, and I know we've got some mutual friends. So thank you again, Jon, for being a part of our Economic War Room today.
Thank you. My honor. God bless.
Tickets are available now to see the Reagan movie in theaters opening August 30th. Visit Reagan.movie for ticket information and to learn more about Reagan, to view the trailer, its website, same, Reagan.movie. Let's make this a cultural event. Go in groups. Make this the #1 movie in America. It's that good. Now, we're going to summarize all this in our free economic battle plan at economicwarroom.com. Remember, what we see as a marketplace, our enemies view as a battle space. This is Kevin Freeman from the Economic War Room.